decreases someone's chance of ever murdering in the first place. I don't know why this isn't being brought up, right? So when we see these things legislated on, when we see tax dollars funded into like our police systems or criminal justice systems, when we see there being like real world repercussions for committing crimes like going to jail for like 20 years, this decreases someone's chance of ever taking the negative action in the first place because of the foreseen consequences.
But
That's
that goes against your buddy's argument. It goes against Parker's argument.
How?
Because you said that death penalty is not considered a preventative measure to stop people from doing the crime because there's been vast amount of studies that prove this. What he just said goes against that.
I said if you relate it to our current criminal justice system, so it gives us no greater level of deterrence.
So why do people?
If one of our fundamental bases of our criminal justice system is to deter crime, the death penalty doesn't give us that. That's all I was describing. The whole argument of whether or not the death penalty deters crime is just demonstrating the idea that we specifically relate to reducing crime with the criminal justice system. That's why the whole argument. Please listen. That's why the whole argument of whether or not it deters crime exists in the first place. That's
so. Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work?
I don't know the specific reasons as to why. I'm just saying that like the studies indicate that it's specifically the case that that it doesn't deter crime greater than the current criminal justice system.
That because you can't stop a criminal from committing a crime.
But you make them less likely to ever become a criminal in the first place. I don't understand why you can't.
What are you talking about?
I have a question. So let's say there's a main street in whatever the hell town you live. We're going to say there's signs along the main street that say the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. And we're going to assume that there's cops at every intersection standing there with their radar guns and their ticket book ready to, charge people some money. Okay? If none of that shit existed, the signs were there, if the cops were there, if that wasn't even legislated on, would there be more people going 35 miles per hour or over? Yes, there would, right? The introduction of like the criminal justice system, the introduction of these laws and the cops even just being there reduces our probabilistic chance of, breaking that in the first place.
That's not the argument.
Like you're saying,
yes, it is.
Oh my God,
that's not my argument. That's not my argument.
No, that's what our argument is. It's fucking crime prevention. That's what our argument is. What are you talking about? You have no.
And I asked you,
bro.
I asked you. See, this is the thing. You guys can't keep up with your own conversation, but I'm good enough to do so.
No, you're the one who can't do it.
I asked you, will it stop people from committing crimes?
No. I said it can prevent people, right? So prevention
in the first place.
Prevention stops certain people, not all people. I never said it stops all crime.
But you were arguing as if it did. I asked.
No, I was arguing that it deters crime. What are you talking about? Deterrence.
Then you changed my argumentation. You're trying to change my argumentation. I asked you a specific question, and you go on this diatribe about how it prevents some people from doing something. I'm asking
why
you,
would Parker be arguing that laws stop everybody from committing crime? Why would he be fucking arguing that? We have laws against murderers. There are murderers. We have laws against speeding.
Thank you for proving my point.
There is speeders.
That's not a point.
We have laws against kidnapping.
That's not a point.
There are kidnappers. Of course.
And I'm asking you,
wouldn't it be fundamentally deluded beyond all hell arguing the point that laws stop people from breaking the law? That is false. The only point here is that me and Parker are simply arguing that they're preventative insofar as they're existing less individuals
you're
in the first
making
place
a different
that would
point
commit those
than
acts.
my
Allow me to
question.
finish, sir. Allow me to finish, sir. Allow me to finish.
Calm down.
If there's a sign on the side of the road that says you could go 35 miles per hour or under in comparison to another road that has no posted speed limit, there's objectively going to be less people going over 35 miles an hour on the road with a sign. And that is what laws do. They make it less likely that people are going to commit the crimes. They make it less likely that people are going to break the law. They don't make it so
argument.
Everybody is like going to abide by the law. Like
I asked a specific question, and you go on this diatribe about why it prevents. I said, does it these laws, because it's from the premise of abortion, does these laws stop the people from doing what they're doing?
The answer is it makes them less likely.
No, the answer is no, it doesn't.
False.
It doesn't stop a criminal from committing crime.
If we didn't have legislation on murder, would there be more murders? If we didn't have legislation on murder, would there be more murderers?
You don't know that, because we don't.
Oh my God! What is the point of the criminal justice system?
This guy has no clue what he's talking about.
We don't have a system of no legislation on it. How can you have sources on something that's not actively happening?
You're actually denying that laws against murder reduce the likelihood that people commit murder. You're actually insane.
I'm not trying to create
You're literally
that argument.
insane.
No, what I am attacking is he's saying we have research that shows. How do we have research when we are a nation of laws? How do we have research of the opposite of that?
What are you saying? I'm so confused.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Now you're confused.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
If we are a nation of laws, and he, out of his pie hole, said we have statistics showing that this prevents and reduces and all this other stuff, how do we know what it is to be without if we're not without?
Because humans are instrumentally rational. Humans do what is conducive to their end goals. All right, that is a fundamental
we have historical data. That's what data is.
I also want to
America's always been a nation of laws.
Humans are instrumentally rational.
Every society has not been a nation of laws.
We're not talking about other societies. We're talking about America.
We compare other societies to see whether or not this occurs.
Also, humans are instrumentally rational, which means that we do what's conducive towards our end goals. Of course, if we're going to exist in a system without a criminal justice system that sends people to prison against their will and makes them sit on a bunk bed for the next 30 years, which is absolutely not conducive towards their goals, we're going to see more individuals engaging in things such as murder or kidnapping because they know that they'll be able to do so without the potentiality of something going against their end goals, okay? And because of our instrumental rationality, we could obviously assume that the criminal justice system existing in of itself is going to prevent people from taking part in these crimes in the first place. And if this wasn't the case, if this was a false assumption and humans weren't instrumentally rational, then why would we see a criminal justice system exist in every modern nation on earth? And why would we see billions of dollars poured into these criminal justice systems to further reform them for further crime prevention? Like the claim that it does absolutely nothing, this legislation does not prevent people from doing these crimes, is one of the most absurd things that I've heard in my entire life.
Where did you hear me say that? Where did you hear me say that? You just see, doing this rambling and really fast talking doesn't do anything to benefit you because you're just talking to talk. I never said that. So stop saying that I'm saying things that I didn't say.
Okay, well, it's necessary that you'd hold to this position, given the fact that you disagree with us and think we're the same way we are.
I asked a simple question, and
okay,
again,
so
by the way, I'm gonna ask the question. I'm gonna chat. If Lumberjack did say that, type 1 in the comment section right now.
Really?
Thank you for the $25 on Venmo.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna work in your space. But again, once again,
it's gonna work.
I never said those words. I asked a singular question.
So then you agree with us that the criminal justice system prevents crime, right?
That wasn't the premise of my question.
So do you agree with this or not?
Your argumentation is that
repeat the premise of your question.
My question, once again, for the 4th time, I'm listening. Will it, making the laws, stop people? And then you say, well, no,
the prevention is stopping. The prevention is stopping. Yes.
No, it is not. Because people still commit crimes.
Wait, hey, buddy, if I prevent you from blowing up your house, did I stop you from blowing up your house? Like, you understand that the criminal justice
then someone comes behind me and then does that to my house. Then someone comes and does that behind my house and actually succeeds. Did you prevent them? No, you stopped one singular individual from doing a singular act. I'm asking you, if you create a law, does that law stop the people from breaking the law? The answer is no. If that was the case, we would have a perfect society because all the laws would be.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I understand, Lumberjack. I actually do hear you.
So the answer is no.
So not yes. The answer is yes. I hear what you're saying, and here's my response. So you're essentially saying, well, if we have this piece of legislation, the only way that this piece of legislation would stop people from breaking the law was specifically if no one broke the law. However, this is what I call a false dichotomy, right? So a law can be effective, and a law could stop people from committing said crime without permitting everybody, or from stopping everybody from committing a crime. Like, you understand, when I'm gauging the efficacy of legislation, I'm not looking at this pure binary 0 and 1. Is someone committing the crime or is no one committing the crime? What I'm taking is a more nuanced perspective, essentially evaluating, did the introduction of this legislation just simply mean that there's less people committing the crime? That's all that's relevant here. There's other ways that we approach the situation. How do we make more people prevent it, right? That's when we start understanding socioeconomic disparities, further reform within prisons, and other external variables apart from the legislation in of itself. But when we're judging the efficacy of the legislation in a vacuum, we're just looking if it's preventative in the sense that less people are committing the crime, not if no one is. Okay? You have an incredibly diluted view here.
All right, Lumberjack, I'm going to let you respond to that. I'm going to thank people, and then I'm going to bring Bree into the conversation.
I will give my time to her.
Okay. All right.
Because y'all don't want me to start picking apart what you're saying, because that's where it's headed for me. Because you don't realize what words you're saying. You don't realize what words you're saying. And no. You're speaking really quick in hopes that I won't be able to keep up, and I am. And I'm going to start repeating back to you what you say. No, I'm going to start repeating back to you what you're saying, and it's going to be fun for me. But go ahead,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah. So David, thank you so much for the $20 on Cash App. Thank you so much, David. I really appreciate it. And Yvonne, thank you for the $100 on Venmo. Can we get some W's, Yvonne? And W's, David, in the comment section right now. Thank you so much, along with Charlie. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Holy fuck. Yeah, y'all are going so crazy. Thank you so much, Yvonne.
Yeah,
I
also,
really
I'm standing
that.
on business. What I said is fact. You were disproven. I just want to say that. I was right.
You didn't disprove anything. I asked you a question, and you keep hopping to prevention. I'm not asking about prevention.
Let's let Bree.
I'm not asking about it.
She's been very patient. I do appreciate that, Bree. Thank you.
That's fine. I just wanted to go back to your IUD thing, because you said that it prevents you from getting, like, from, conception, basically. Like, it prevents it from happening. So if it's
it can prevent conception, and it can prevent
if it's already,
implantation. Sorry.
Right. So if it's already preventing, either or, like, technically it's not murder at that point, because it can't happen.
No,
Thank you.
That's my stance. I just want to. That's my stance on it. That's where I see it, as like where I stand. Okay. And to me, that whole argument that we just had on here, if people are going to do it, they're going to do it. They're either going to break the laws or they're not going to break the laws. It's what people believe and like what they're just going to do. You cannot control people like that, unfortunately.
Lumberjack just figured out for the first time there are some people that agree with him. Wow, crazy. So again, here
there's a lot of people that agree with me.
Cool, I don't care. The one point that I'm referencing with that specifically is if it can prevent implantation, that means it stops a fertilized egg at conception, which is a person under Lumberjack's worldview. Which is a person under Lumberjack's worldview.
Thank you for the lion. W's in the chat for CW. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, so it can prevent implantation, which prevents a fertilized egg, right, which is a life at conception, person under his view, from implanting into the uterine wall, which would end that zygote's life.
Right.
It prevented it, which is already a life, from beginning pregnancy.
Yo, Vaughn, thank you for the $100 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get some massive W Vaughns in that chat. Thank you so much for the love. I'm so sorry for interrupting. Massive W Vaughns down below. Thank you so much for the $100 on Venmo. That is absolutely so kind of you. Thank you so much, Yvonne. I'm so sorry, Parker.
Yeah, not only can it prevent fertilization, but it can prevent implantation. Implantation happens after fertilization. Fertilization is conception.
Yeah, I know. I just don't think that if either are being prevented ahead of time, then it's actually considered murder. That's just my opinion, though.
Sorry, I can't hear you right now. Darksided, thank you so much for the dragon. Holy fuck, thank you so much, Darksided. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Get some W's for Darksided in the comment section right now. Sorry, go for it, Bree. I apologize.
I said personal opinion here because everybody's different. If it's preventing either or, okay, that's not one of those that make noise. Either or, I don't consider it murder at that point. At that point, I don't.
Yeah, that's kind of like the point I'm making. Thank you for the handout. Thank you so much. So then you just wouldn't consider it a person at that point, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to consider it not murder.
No,
thank you for the cat. Thank you.
That is my personal opinion.
But
okay?
here's
which I agree with you there.
I'm just saying.
Here's our point. If we consume,
wait, Dean, let her finish and then go.
Of course,
okay.
Of course.
Now, when it comes to the legality of stuff, thank you. The legality of stuff, I will reference back to the Unborn Children's Act because they did define that in there. And so when it comes to laws and legality, I will stand on that but I usually keep my personal opinion out of stuff. But that is my personal opinion. So you are lucky and you do actually, because nobody usually gets my personal opinion.
All that me and Parker are saying here is we assume the pro-life view that all human life is just as valuable as any other, right? And it is just as wrong to unalive you as it is me, as it is Lumberjack, as it is Parker, or as it is a fetus within a mother's womb. The question that me and Parker are purporting here is why would we hold a different standard for the unicellular zygote that can be and is unalived by IUDs that are inserted into women with intent from the woman?
So much, Galaxy.
Like if we real quick, I wasn't done there. Like what we're saying here is if we take your logic, like let's just look at another scenario. Like would we be okay?
Thank you for the fireworks.
So, like, would we be okay with like unaliving like this human with just as much as value as you and I in any other scenario in the way that an IUD would unalive a conceived zygote? Obviously, we wouldn't. We say that it's murder, point blank, period. This is something that should be. Go ahead.
Zach, thank you for the Draco as well. Thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate it. Interested. Thank you so much for the Galaxy. I appreciate both of you. Can you get some W's in the chat for all the gifters? Thank you so much, everyone. Katie, thank you for the hanging lights as well.
And that this is something that should be legislated against. And when we propose that,
I have a question.
Okay.
It's for you. This question's for you. Who determines value?
Who determines value? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that morality is subjective. I think we all do it. Like we all have our own standards and preferences.
So who's right?
Moral.
Are you right or are we right?
So when you ask the question, who's right? I mean, I could say that I'm right indexed to my preference, but I don't think an objective standard exists. Like when you ask the question, who's more right with their morality, you're asking a question like, who's more right? Would they like
who's preferable to me? That's what you're asking. Who's
No.
no.
I'm talking about in the confines of the argumentation that you're giving about
like index to my
life.
preference. I think I'm right. Like you understand that, right?
Okay, so what makes you more right than someone else?
So more right just means
it's like category air.
Yeah, it's A equals A. It's logic. Right?
Okay,
Obviously,
I'll take it legal for you.
Obviously,
I'll take
his
it legal for
position
you.
Is going to be like preferable to him. But Jay,
Okay.
thank you so much for the $40 for therapy on Venmo.
So-
Thank you, Jay, in the comment section. WJ.
Yeah, like I'm right, you're wrong. Because
No. That's cool. That's cool. So why should you get a law made? Why should you get a law made for what you believe is right, but we shouldn't?
Because I'm indexing it to my preference. That's the only way that we can talk about morality.
So we're arguing about a
indexed to
law.
my preference. It's because I'm right and you're wrong.
No. I'm talking about in the legal system. Why should the legal system curtail to you if it's subjective?
Because indexed to the only standard that I have, I'm right, you're wrong. We shouldn't be legislating on wrong beliefs. We should be legislating on right beliefs.
All right, fantastic. So we go back to what I stated earlier is I don't think any government should have any say. If a woman wants it, she needs to go pay for it out of her pocket, because when the government gets involved, it takes money out of our pocket through taxes. I don't want any taxes going towards it. If you can agree on that stance, we can shake hands on this.
I think there's two things that could be said here. I think, first of all, the conversation about how it's paid for is completely different from the conversation on do women have access to it. And I am predominantly recognizing that the conversation is on do women have access to it is the most important one that can be had.
I don't think so.
I think it should be, right? Because pro-life legislation, pushing it back down to the state, allowing them to legislate on if the women within their state have this access or don't, it's destructional to the family unit. It raises rates of poverty, decreases rates of education, employment, and income, and specifically makes it so 1 out of every 3 women in America today that are of reproductive age don't have the same access to healthcare as say women in California or Colorado do. And in the same way, I think that there should be federal protections for like civil rights. There should be federal protections for everybody's right to vote. There should be federal protections for access to healthcare, right? In no world would I say we should be saying that women in California should have different access than women in Kansas. That's gross.
I have 2 questions for you, Dean. 2 questions, and please don't pivot. Stay on task. Do you think everybody should have health care? It should be a right?
Yeah, like in most scenarios.
No. Do you think health care should be a right? It's a yes or no question.
Yes, yeah, like how I would define what healthcare is and isn't, for sure.
Okay, fantastic. So you're okay with slavery, right?
No, I'm not.
Why? Well, you just no. I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna tie it into pretty bow. So you think
universal health care equals slavery?
No. He's saying that he thinks healthcare should be a right. So you're saying that you should have a right to my services because you need people to perform those services, correct?
I have a right to
services? Do you think having police officers is slavery?
I don't have a right to police officer services.
Wait, I mean,
yes,
I'll just clear this.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
I'll just clear this up.
You literally do.
I should have a right to access to it. Here, I'm gonna make.
So, do you have the right to the firefighter services and taking care of your house?
No, you don't.
No.
No.
So what do you mean by the right?
So when I say the right to someone else's services, I mean that you are making that person do that because you have a right to that service.
No, so they're choosing to do so based upon having like a payment.
What's that word?
Voluntary exchange, yeah.
But if you're saying that you have a right to healthcare, that means that person has to perform that service.
So the right is in
regardless of monetary exchange.
No. So the right is in the government to provide you that service. So pay for that service. So pay would imply that there's a voluntary exchange between the government and between the person who's producing the particular service.
Oh, so that's a good pivot because now that's a contract. It's a contract.
Appreciate the Galaxy. Thank you so much.
Because now, you're making the person contractually obligated to that service. But the thing
once they
is,
agree to it.
all contracts are meant to be negotiated and can be negotiated. So therefore, if that doctor,
Wait, no. There's some social contracts that should not be negotiated.
that's your opinion. So
Should parental obligations be negotiable?
wait, if that's the case, then
what
why
I
are
thought. That's what I
why no? If that's the case, then why are schools doing that?
How are schools?
Sorry, schools doing what? Sorry.
Madeline,
If a
thank you
parent
so much
if a
for the
parent says they
$50
don't
on
want
Venmo. I appreciate you for the
so
love.
if a parent says they don't want their kid doing something or knowing about something or learning something, that is that parent's obligatory ability to do so,
I'm
correct?
referencing parental obligations. I'm referencing well-being and the care over a child. Like, should a mother alone in the middle of the woods with her child be able to negotiate her parental obligation to provide like bodily resources to the kid? Like, should she just be able to say, "Oh, today I negotiated"? With
According
the
to you,
social contract
yes.
Of parental obligation, and I shouldn't have to give.
According to you, yes, because you're pro-choice.
Absolutely not.
I can answer
According
that.
to you, no, that's absolutely false. That is a red herring. That's honestly embarrassing, Lumberjack. Come on,
No, because the baby's using the mother's parental sources in the womb as well.
I don't think that there's going to exist any type of obligation from the mother to the fetus prior to sentience, because you can't have an obligation with a non-person.
Okay, so at 18 to 26 weeks, if the mother says, I don't want to give any more of my sources to this baby, I'm going to starve myself, so I starve the baby, you would be okay with it.
No, that's actually something that would specifically not be okay with outside of the circumstances of like.
But you're pro-choice. It's mother's choice. It's her body, her choice.
It's actually not.
You're
my
saying
argument.
with sentience. Once sentience is in place specifically, we think it would be murder after that point,
Diane, I
as long
appreciate
as
you
it's
for the
outside of the
$5 on
context
PayPal.
of self-defense, grape, things like that.
Oh, so,
Yeah,
so,
and
Georgia,
so,
thank you so much for the $15. I appreciate it. Thank you so
So
much,
you're
Kelly.
against-
Kelly,
you're
thank you
against
so much for the.
abortion.
Kelly, thank you. Yeah, after sentience. Kelly, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you so much, Missy. Thank you for the $30. Thank you so much from the DNC. I appreciate it. And the Dark Sided Ginger, thank you for the $100 on Cash App. Can we get some W's for Dark Sided Ginger in the comment section right now? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so red herrings aside, should a parent be able to negotiate their social contract to provide resources to sustain the life of their kid?
no, I was trying to ask a question before he went on thanking
So
his
is that
guest.
yes or no?
No, I'm not going to answer it until I ask my
You're
question
not
that I
going to
was
answer it
waiting
because
for.
you know that the answer is no.
No, I was
Like, you're
no,
just
no,
gonna be
no,
bad
no.
faith and not answer questions
I'm
that are
going to
relevant
ask
to your
you to ask your
positions.
question. Hold your question so I can finish. I was in the middle of speaking when he started. So, you both, or actually, where'd the other guy go? You both, he left. You both are against any abortion past 19 weeks.
Exceptions aside.
No, we did not. We did not say.
I'm asking.
Elective,
Are you?
Had mustache.
elective
We're saying
lethal
elective.
abortions.
Yeah.
Elective lethal
Elective
abortions
lethal.
begins.
You're against elective abortions
That are
Elective
lethal.
after 19 weeks.
Elective lethal
Yes.
abortions. Yep.
Wow, that's new.
No, that's not new
I'm
at all.
actually
This has been
kind of
a-
proud of you guys.
Me
Crazy
too.
as they tell us up until birth.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when people are saying up until birth,
Hey, I'm
I
giving
would.
you a compliment.
I would
just
I
take
would-
a compliment.
No, I'm just saying I would hope
Because
they're
it's a compliment
referencing.
for
I would
me.
hope they're referencing induction of labor, which would just be birth.
No,
If they're
no.
referencing lethal, obviously that's clearly like we'd be against that.
Yeah, but anyway,
Well, I mean,
back to my
partial
question,
birth,
Lumberjack. I've been
like
trying to answer.
partial birth.
I've been trying to ask Lumberjack this question for a little bit here. So you said that social contracts should be negotiable. So yeah, do you think that a parent should be able to negotiate the social contract that they have to provide to their kids? So
That's
let's
a
just say that there's
biological
mother-
contract,
What
not
the
a
fuck
social
is a
contract.
biological contract?
Because they created that child. It's literally their DNA.
wait. Okay,
Wait.
wait. So, wait.
Well,
Do you believe in?
When you engage in sex, that's not a contract?
Wait, do you think
a
people-
biological contract?
do you think people who are raped should be able to get access to abortion?
I don't have any exceptions. I'm anti-abortion.
Wait,
you can get
holy
buck-eyed
shit.
all
Wait,
you want.
so
I'm
you think-
anti. I'm
So you
all
think
the way
a
across the
10-year-old?
board.
So you think a 10-year-old?
All the way across the board. You're not gonna get me to change up. I'm
okay.
gonna
Okay.
say
Let me ask
truth
this
with you.
question. Let me ask this question then. So you think a 10-year-old who got raped by her uncle
Yes.
should be forced to go through pregnancy, even if it kills her?
I'm not going to move off my premise.
Parker,
yes.
Parker, you gotta let me talk. You gotta let me talk.
Fucking insane.
You didn't get it.
But
you
this is
didn't get
the
a
crazier
W.
part. I got a crazier part. So you're only
Okay.
saying this because of a biological contract that exists between the DNA of the kid and the mother. So if it is the case that there's a surrogate
What is up
that's
with all this
implanted,
movement?
but if it is the case that there's a surrogate that's implanted with the wrong fertilized egg with DNA in it that's not hers, would you say that she doesn't have a biological contract to maintain the life of that fetus and can abort it for any reason?
What? Can you repeat that?
I'm so
Yeah, so there's a
confused. You gotta
surrogate
slow
mother
down,
who's
dude.
in. So let's assume a surrogate mother who's inserted with an egg from the wrong man and woman. It is not her biological child, and that is a fact. If the only reason that
Sorry,
you are
Parker.
pro-life and
Your
against
face.
abortion is because of a biological
I'm sorry. What
obligation.
You said was insane. Like.
Oh, I'm going to make it more insane right here.
Well, you can try.
So a biological obligation
we
would
don't
not.
need
I'm not gonna move off my premise. I am against
I'm
abortion.
getting interrupted. I'm getting interrupted while I'm trying to ask this question.
It can be bad all
it's
you
a very
want.
simple question.
So, Dean, I answered your question when I
no,
stated
you actually
I'm
didn't.
anti-abortion.
You actually didn't.
Anti-abortion.
I'm not being allowed to finish.
Let Dean finish.
Yeah, you just told us the reason that you're anti-abortion is because you think there's a
No, that's not the reason.
Okay. So
That's not the reason.
Okay, so then what was your reference towards a biological obligation speaking on? What was the relevance of that?
Because I believe life is life, and everything should have an opportunity at life.
Okay,
within the human species, because it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of property.
What was the relevance of your biological obligation statement?
Oh, that was an anti to your social obligatory contract. I said it's a biological process.
Okay, so yeah, you're saying that a mother has an obligation to sustain the life of the fetus in her womb because it's related to her biologically speaking, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you brought up this.
Awesome. I'm gonna cut you off there. So if it's the case that the fetus in her womb is not related to her biologically speaking, such as the mother is a surrogate, should she be able to kill it?
No. Because she's still
related to her biologically speaking.
Yes, she is, because she is still developing that child within herself, and that child is taking from her resources and using her body, so it is assimilating some of her DNA.
Dude, I have Christians I know in the comment section saying
yeah,
I don't care about the Christians.
If I'm a man and I donate,
if
I'm a man and I donate to a sperm bank, and next thing I know, like 50 years later, there's 1,000 kids that are biological offspring of mine walking around the earth. Do I have an obligation to them?
Say that one more time. You cut out.
If I donate to a sperm bank today, and 50 years later, I have 1,000 biological children walking on the planet, do I have an obligation to them?
No, because that's a donation, bro.
Wait, you're doing that.
You're doing that. But the thing is, you would have no way of proving that unless all those kids came to you and said, "Hey, you're my daddy," and then you would have to take a DNA test to prove that. And that's just not something that's realistic or even probable.
Wait, so you're saying that it's not probable that I'd be able to prove my relation to the children?
That 50,000 kids are going to come talk to you and say, "Daddy"? No, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, if one does, do I have an obligation to him?
It's not. It's an irrelevant hypothetical.
23andMe happens all the time. If it happens, do I have an obligation to him?
If you get 50,000 kids to come up to you, yes.
I have an obligation to them all. So Genghis Khan, if he were alive today, would have an obligation.
If 50,000 kids come up to you, yes.
So if Genghis Khan was alive today, he's related to 15% of males alive.
Making up these arbitrary analogies that aren't applicable to the conversation? It's not applicable to the conversation.
Dude, you're crazy.
It's not applicable to the conversation.
Of course, it's applicable to the conversation. It shows how thin your logic is.
So no, my logic is not flawed. So Parker,
your logic is flawed as all hell. It's ridiculous.
If you have person A,
you're saying that women
harm person B.
You're saying that women.
If you have person A harm person B, is person C responsible for the actions of person A?
No, I don't think they're necessary. No, I don't think they're responsible.
So if person A, you answered that. You said no. If the person A grapes person B and a baby is person C comes out of that, why should person C be responsible for the actions of person A? Which you said no. So therefore, aborting that child would be putting the responsibility, like taking all responsibility from person A because of what happened to person B. You just agreed with me.
So again, I'm not saying the responsibility falls on to the child. What I'm saying is that I don't believe in things like someone being forced to be like obligated to take care of someone without the context of a causal obligation scenario where they caused it to be the case. So
exactly,
I don't see any good reasons to indicate this. But I just want to clarify: he literally thinks that a woman or a child should be forced to literally die for an embryo that they quite literally didn't cause themselves because they were raped by their uncle. That's fucking insane. That is the most fringe abortion view I have ever heard. The fact that you can sit here
That's not an abortion. I'm anti-abortion.
Is unbelievably disgusting as fuck.
It's gross.
So you're trying
to vile.
That's cool. That's cool.
Gross.
Okay.
But to prove Parker's point there about the whole causal obligation thing, if I'm a vampire and I need to suck your blood to live, and I just walk up behind you and start sucking on your
vampires aren't real.
You're gonna do it whether you need it or not.
Okay, buddy.
Exactly.
You're not real the positions that you've been giving us. I'm gonna go into my hypothetical without interruption.
You're going to do it. You're going to do it for survival purposes, regardless whether someone tries to stop you or not.
Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and repeat what I was saying without interruption.
No one's going to be able to prevent you from doing that.
Hey, buddy, Pookie, all right, without interrupting me this time. If I'm
Pookie?
a fucking vampire...
Is that a racist trope? Did you just use a racial epitaph towards me? Pookie?
Is Pookie a racial trope?
Yeah. It's actually something that's heavily used in the black community. You would know that if you got out of your box.
Okay, I call my white girlfriend Pookie.
You probably should stop.
Just for like TikTok purposes,
wait.
say
What do you mean by
sorry, so you
trope?
don't-
Wait. How is it racial?